Boy, how did you like that one-of-a-kind invention I made yesterday? Using a magnetic viewing device by using the iron in my own blood. Wasn't that interesting? Nobody on Earth has ever done that before. Anyway, if I get a bunch of questions, I always about a specific subject, I try to answer them. I keep getting questions asked about Sigma lenses. I own one Sigma lens. One. The only reason I got it is because I got it at a price that was absolutely insane. In case anybody doesn't know or doesn't know me, I never talk about Sigma lenses because I despise them. I loathe them. But my personal convictions are irrelevant. To give logical, helpful, intelligent, existential information, I should not ever impugn my feelings or beliefs on whatever someone wants to use. I mean, we all have our personal feelings and beliefs on certain things, most of which are subjective rather than realistic. Someone may feel something about somebody that is an absolute saint, for example, never hurt a fly, and, no matter who, no matter, if you go around, eventually you find somebody that hates that person, like, they're a saint, all they do is, like, help homeless people. Oh, I hate that person, so what we feel is irrelevant, but specifically we have two particular factors regarding Sigma lenses. A, we're talking about an art form, photography. If you wanted to use your own excrement to make a human painting, make a painting, a human painting, to make a painting, that's obviously valid. We're talking about creating art. Whatever it is that you like about a particular lens's qualities, that's perfectly valid. If you say, I like the image output of a Sigma lens, perfectly valid. I use some really old lenses, some of which are upwards 75, 80 years old. Stop adjusting your iMac on the table, right? People say, why do you got that iMac on the table? Because I actually use it here, believe it or not. Those are some old lenses. Some of those great old Carl Zeiss lenses are incredible. They do have certain issues. That's somewhat similar to the Sigma lens, as far as some negative attributes, but specifically, other than you actually liking the lens, I've proven the fact that I certainly know more about optics and light than the top 20, 30, 40 channels on YouTube combined. Whether you believe that or not, or you think that is egotistical, I don't really care. It's still a fact. The fact remains that Sigma lenses are poorly made. They don't last long. They have autofocus issues galore. They have sealing issues galore. And they're not as bad as they used to be, but they're still really bad. They don't. Now, Tamron, for example, makes a significant array of some pretty miserable lenses. However, there are many Tamron lenses that I still can highly recommend, and people, many, many thousands of people have reported being very happy in purchasing those lenses off my recommendation. The same thing with Tokina. Tokina only has a couple good lenses that I can recommend. Those lenses are incredible. Countless thousands of people bought the 100mm 2.8 macro off my recommendation. Same thing with the 11 to 16 ultra wide. But a lot of most all Tokina lenses, I can't recommend any Tokina lens. But those two I can recommend. 100mm f2.8, by the way, has noisy autofocus, so that's a negative attribute of it. Sigma lenses, I don't talk about them unless we're talking about like junk lenses like Samyang and Rakinen. There's no other large lens manufacturer out there that has the quality standards of Sigma, and I don't mean that in a good way. I don't talk about Sigma lenses. I don't recommend them. If you particularly like the output of the Sigma lens, that's fine. I will tell you one thing existentially that is empirically valid, and that is that about 99%, or somewhere right around there, of everybody that thinks they love their Sigma lens so much, they don't have a broad spectrum of experience of lenses. And basically nobody does. Why? Because lenses are really, really, really expensive. I, however, do. And a lot of people think that something is awesome. It's like, oh, I've been eating my grandma's mashed potatoes for 30 years. So have you ever tried any other mashed potatoes? No, hers are the best, and that's just all there is to it, damn it. It's like, so you've never tried anything else, really, but you're absolutely certain Grandma's mashed potatoes are the best. Yeah, yep, that's the way it is. And that's the same thing with Sigma lenses. I bought this expensive lens, and by God, since I pissed away a lot of my money on buying this lens, it's awesome. No, that's just your personal feelings. If people were to actually try and pit their lens against many other lenses in the same focal range, they will very, very immediately find that there are far superior lenses with better output, better color saturation, far better micro contrast. If you're shooting black and white photography, micro contrast is really important. I didn't invent that word micro contrast. It's been called Zeiss pop or lens pop. It's called by many, many names over. I mean, I heard about Zeiss pop back in photography school, 21, 22 years ago, before I even knew what it was. I didn't invent the term micro contrast. It doesn't matter what you call it. Sigma lenses have poor micro contrast. They have poor autofocus. They have poor build quality. If anybody, and by the way, the term art means absolutely nothing. Do you know something else really important? Do you know how quality stuff never has to advertise itself? You notice you never really see ads for Zeiss or Voigtlander. You don't. You notice how you don't see TV commercials for Porsche, Lamborghini, Bentleys, or Rolex, but Rolex actually does advertise a little bit at horsing events and stuff like. The real quality stuff sells itself. Trash, I use the word trash lightly here, has to advertise itself left and right. I mean, you can get someone to buy something horrible if you advertise the hell out of it. And there is nobody on this earth, as far as camera lenses, that advertises more than Sigma does. You should buy whatever makes you comfortable. If you're happy with your I don't make a dime either way. Let's be reasonable and logical, okay? I don't care if you use Sony. I don't care if you use Sigma. The reason I never make any videos or talk about Sigma lenses is because I don't recommend them, because I don't make a dime off. I don't care what you buy. I don't make a dime either way, but I prefer people to be happy. If they're happy with the Sigma lens output, even if it's an inferior lens, that's fine. I will point you to the fact that, say, 25-year-old Nikkor lenses, other than people dropping them or trashing them or, some child, destroying them, about 95% plus from 20 plus years ago are still surviving. When you talk about finding an old Sigma lens on eBay, they're basically non-existent. I used to sell those old Sigma lenses in a couple of camera stores. If you do an eBay search on that Ultra Zoom, I think it was the 18-200, I believe it was. I mean, none of those things are surviving. They don't exist on eBay, not because people are holding on to them, it's because they died a long time ago. If that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does. Art lenses, for example. The worst example that I could possibly think of. These lenses cost as much or more than a Zeiss lens. The absolute absurd notion that anybody would pay that astronomical amount of money compared to, it's like both of these are the same price. One is a new Lamborghini and the other one's a used Volkswagen. I'll take the used Volkswagen for the same amount of money. Why on earth, actually I know the answer to this, why on earth would anybody buy an art lens, an absolutely meaningless term, which has nothing to do with the lens at all? We're just going to call this new series of lenses the art series. Yeah, when you say art, that must mean it makes art. Yeah, we call these lenses the art lenses. People buy them because they think this lens makes art. Yeah. Well, that's some nice advertising. Fluff. Puffery. Twaddle nonsense. Snake oil. Think of some other terms for it? Snake oil. Puffery. Twaddle, right? Why would you spend that kind of astronomical amount of money? You could get a lens that will last multiple generations. The Sigma lens won't even last you. There's no set time, but it's not going to last you, 10, 15 years. The Zeiss lens your great-great-grandson will be using the damn Zeiss lens. And it's a far superior lens. Not on the ultra-wides, however. Zeiss ultra-wide lenses, 28 millimeters and below, don't recommend them. They're no good. Zeiss doesn't know how to make an ultra-wide lens. So, since everybody keeps asking me about Sigma lenses, I thought I would make this video. This video is going to get a lot of people hating on it, and that's fine. I'm not here to play nice. I'm here to state the facts. And the fact is that I know more about lenses than these other people on YouTube. By the way, a lot of those people have affiliate links in their videos. It means that, if you click on that link, they're getting a kickback. Click on that link and buy the lens, they're definitely getting a kickback. I don't get any kickbacks from anybody. I know more about lenses than them. You've seen many videos where I fix lenses and cameras. I know more about lenses than they do. Actually, the top 20 of them combined. I'm telling you, I would rather you be happy. You should buy whatever you want. But I don't talk about lenses, and I don't talk about Sigma lenses, and I don't recommend them for many valid, existential, empirical, objective reasons. What I personally feel or think about Sigma should play no part in me stating the facts about Sigma lenses. If at some point in the time they decide to improve their production standards, which is they certainly haven't for these past couple plus decades, then things will change at that point. But as it exists now, it is a complete waste of money to buy a Sigma lens. If you're happy with it, that's all that matters. Because anything is valid when it comes to photography, as the art that you choose. But I'll also tell you that all these people that think their Sigma lens is so great, I can absolutely damn guarantee you that they have not experienced the spectrum of what is out there. Just like the guy that thinks grandma's mashed potatoes are the best. So have you tried others? No, I don't need to, because grandma's is the best, Well, that's a completely invalid statement, isn't it? Luxi veritas, you buy what you want. Whatever makes you happy. I'm making recommendations based upon extensive experience and knowledge about what they are. You can either accept it or deny it. Either way, it doesn't change anything. Not for me anyway. Bye. Thanks. Bye. Ow.